The Mets have left the Northwest in Puget Sound for the Midwest and Lake Michigan. They're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the land of sausage, cheese, and beer, and hoping to get some production against the first-place team in the NL Central. Making friends along the way. Say hello, Milwaukee. At Miller Park in Milwaukee, the New York Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers. Adam, pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Milwaukee. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 4-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Mets come from Seattle, where they won the last 2 games. Mets have been winning without a lot of offense. One of the reasons, the back end of their bullpen has become a huge plus for this team, revamped in midseason, and it has been going great guns.
You know, Gary, we were talking to Terry Collins earlier in the day, and he was just so proud of the way that Henry Mejia has really taken to this role. He's not a guy that throws 95 miles an hour, so he has to throw all 4 of his pitches, and he's been doing that, and it's been great to watch because he's a guy that is not afraid to throw that 3-2 changeup or a curveball, and it's coincided when he went to the bullpen with J. Reese Familia, who has been outstanding also. Terry Collins says he loves him in the game because he makes the other team swing the bat. He does not allow home runs, and he's been throwing strikes.
And they'll have to be on the top of their game in this series against a Brewers team that has one of the best offenses in the game. The Brewers stumbled going into the All-Star break, but have recovered nicely. Just swept a series from Cincinnati, and they're 2.5 games clear in the NL Central.
Yeah, they had that 1-11 stretch. They're 5-2 since then. And one of the big reasons that they've had this big turnaround is Jonathan Lucroy. He is an MVP candidate. He's a guy that really has done a great job behind the plate, calling the game, but also his offensive production is through the roof. He's on a pace to hit over 50 doubles this year.
So with Lucroy and the rest of that Brewers crew, they are second in the National League in runs scored, and will be a formidable task for the Mets, who are 3-3 on this road trip with these 4 to play in Milwaukee. The real stars of the show, they'll be getting ready later. The sausages. Mets and Brewers coming up. Your local Acura dealer. By 5-Hour Energy. 5-Hour Energy helps recognize those who, despite their own needs, put others first. By Geico. By Bud Light Lime, the perfect beer for whatever happens. And by Caesars Entertainment. Visit Ticketmaster.com for tickets to the 2014 Atlantic City Food and Wine Festival starting July 25th through the 27th. You can follow every Mets game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Mets and Brewers open into a 4-game series at Miller Park, and two pitchers going tonight who did not have great starts coming out of the All-Star break.
Probably their poorest starts, both of them, in their last starts coming after the All-Star break. If you look at for Dylan G for the Mets, he was on such a great roll. He got injured. He had a good start when he came off the disabled list, and then his last one was not good. But you're looking for him to bounce back tonight.
And even worse, Matt Garza in his first start out of the All-Star break from Milwaukee couldn't get out of the first inning.
He only faced 8 hitters, gave up 5 hits and a couple of walks in those 5 runs. The worst start in his career. Garza, who's been a 500 pitcher for most of his career.
Garza signed a 4-year deal with the Brewers before the season. They were hoping he'd be an ace. He's not quite been that, at least to this point. Mets and Brewers, all the action coming your way tonight right here on SNY. SNY is powered by Verizon. Create, share, and save every Mets moment all season long. And most reliable network. Matt Garza and the Brewers taking the field. The roof is open here at Miller Park on a beautiful Milwaukee evening. Geico starting lineup for the Mets. Curtis Granderson back in the lineup after missing the last 2 under the weather. Wilmer Flores back from the minor leagues and playing shortstop. Kirk Neuenhuis surprisingly got sent down today to make room for Flores. Ruben Tejada's okay. Not even a headache after getting hit in the helmet yesterday, but they're going to give him an extra day. And it remains to be seen how the Mets will utilize Flores after tonight.
What's interesting about the Milwaukee starter, Matt Garza, he's one of those pitchers who had a stretch this year, 6 to 7 starts, where he's almost unhittable, but you can see his record, 6-7, ERA over 4. He's 73 and 74 in his career, but still got a big 4-year contract from the Brewers. Defensively behind Garza for the Brewers, Coors Light defense, Chris Davis, Carlos Gomez, Ryan Braun. Gomez, of course, fleet of foot in that center field. Ramirez, Segura, Weeks, and Reynolds in the infield. Mark Reynolds had 2 home runs yesterday. And Jonathan Lucroy, who we talked in the open about behind the plate.
Gomez won his first Gold Glove in center field in the National League last year, and it's going to be very interesting when the year is over and the managers and the coaches weigh in on the Gold Gloves to see whether Juan Lagares has a chance to unseat Gomez for that spot.
You know, Gold Gloves tend to be almost like heavyweight fights. You got to kind of knock out the champ to get the title, get the belt, and maybe Lagares missing those games might have given that Gold Glove to Gomez.
And plus, let's be honest, there tends to be an offensive component to Gold Gloves, even though there should not be. And you know, Gomez is an all-star offensive performer right now, where Lagares is not yet anywhere near that point.
Yeah, if it's a flip of a coin and it's a star for the Gold Glove or not a star, it usually goes to the star. And he is a star, Gomez.
He certainly has come a long way in the 7 years since he was a Met. Made his debut for the Mets back in 2007. Well, it's nice to see Curtis Granderson back in the lineup. He had a lot of trouble keeping anything down over the last 48 hours, but felt better last night, had a full dinner, and now is ready to go after missing the last 2 games. Granderson, Murphy, and Wright against Matt Garza. Mets playing their second series against the Brewers this year. Milwaukee took 2 out of 3 in New York.
Well, one of the things when you're watching Matt Garza, he takes a lot of time in between pitches. It's almost like everything has to be perfect before he'll release the baseball.
We're not even between pitches yet. First pitch of the night is below the knees for ball 1. I mean, should be able to throw the first pitch without too much trouble.
He has like a checklist of things he kind of has to go through before he wants to throw a pitch.
1-0 to Granderson, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Brewers turn their infield to the right, but they do not overshift against Granderson. Very interesting as you go team to team and see the difference in the way certain teams play their defenses. How many will shift and how many won't, as Garza crowds Granderson 2-1.
There's an orthodoxy almost to it, and what teams are real strict or what teams run conventional, because they all get the same data. I mean, Curtis hits the ball in the same place. Doesn't matter what club has the facts.
It's a matter of how they interpret it and how their pitchers are most comfortable. 2-1 to Granderson leading off, and Curtis pops one up, and Aramis Ramirez waiting for it, and that's the first out of the night. So Granderson retired, 1 out and nobody on, and now Daniel Murphy. Murph's been getting his hit a day, but not nearly as hot as he was a couple of weeks before the All-Star break. 118 hits for the year, puts him 4th in the National League. The Mets have scored just 14 runs in 6 games since the All-Star break. That's, if you want to do the math, 2.3 runs per game, and yet they are 3-3 since the break because they have pitched so well.
It's like second, third grade math with those numbers.
Well, Mets, in fact, are the second lowest scoring team in the week since the All-Star break. Only the Reds have done worse, and the Reds have lost all 6 games that they've played since the break.
That's the first time I can say this year. Murph looks a little tired, and it's going to be interesting having Wilmer Flores up now. He might be able to play second base for a game and give Murphy a spell once in a while.
Well, the Mets are certainly a more balanced roster now with Flores here, just to have a legitimate backup infielder, which they didn't have before.
You know, watching yesterday's game, and he did come up with a fine play when Familia was pitching Campbell. You know, personally watching him play, he could fill in, but he's not a shortstop. You know,
and I think the book is still out on Flores and whether he can be a regular shortstop, and I think we'll see him play there some. But I mean, Ruben Tejada, since Flores was here the last time, has played so well, especially defensively. It's hard to see that being a full-time affair either. Up and into Murphy, and it's 2-2.
It's really a testament to how difficult the shortstop position is to play, because when you see a person who's not a shortstop playing, you go, oh, now I understand how difficult it is to play.
You know, the mantra in baseball often is that if we have a player who can hit, we'll find a spot for him. But it's hard to do that in multiple positions. I mean, you've already got Murphy, who's a terrific hitter, who's, you know, let's face it, not a great second baseman. He's tried really, really hard to be adequate there. But you'd hate to do that at shortstop too and put yourself in that kind of negative defensive territory up the middle. 3-2 coming from Garza, and Murphy fouls one back off the screen. But those are questions that are going to be answered over the coming weeks, months, and well, even years, as the Mets try and figure out who is a piece of their future. The difficult part about that is that the Mets fancy themselves in a race right now, and you'd like to have your best lineup on the field every day with your best chance to win now.
Well, Terry Collins, before the game was addressing, he said, you guys are asking me all these questions about Wilmer Flores. If Tejada had not gotten hit in yesterday's ball game, there would be no questions. He would not be here.
Well, the funny thing about it is that Tejada was examined after the game. He was good to go. They felt good enough about the fact that he was not injured that they put him on an airplane to Milwaukee, and he's feeling great today. Slap to shortstop. Gene Segura gets in front of it, and a good stretch by Reynolds at first to get Murphy 2 out. But they didn't feel yesterday, clearly, that there was any problem at shortstop, because after all, the Las Vegas team was in Tacoma a half-hour away, and they did not bring Flores to fly with the Mets to Milwaukee, which they easily could have done. Instead, they waited till this morning, and he had to fly on his own to meet the team. So something changed in the organization's thinking between yesterday afternoon and this morning.
It's interesting. I just assumed after Tejada got hit that Flores would be on the plane last night.
Here's David Wright with 2 out and nobody on. David went 4 for 12 in the series in Seattle, hitting a .280 for the year. Year-old Matt Garza facing the Mets for only the 3rd time in his career. He's in his 9th big league season with his 5th different team. Pulled down to third, and a nice diving play by Ramirez. One hop throw handled by Reynolds, and Wright is retired to end the inning. Terrific play. Aramis Ramirez in his 17th season can still play some defense. All-star third baseman throws out his counterpart. Helps Matt Garza to a 1-2-3 opening inning. Dylan G takes the mound when we come back. In the National League in runs scored. Ryan Braun has gotten hot. Jonathan Lucroy has had a great year. So is Gomez. Ramos Ramirez, an all-star this year. Up and down. This is about as strong a lineup as you can face in this league right now.
Deep lineup, and their eighth place hitter has not had the year he had last year, John Segura. See the numbers here. 11th start for Dylan G. Coming off, we told you, the tough start. Caesar's numbers on Dylan.
Carlos Gomez leads things off and takes the pitch outside for ball one. Gomez hitting at .304. Made it to his second all-star game this year. Hits it out to right center. Lagares is over and picks it off for the first out. Interesting, the lineup permutations for the Brewers and the Mets. The last time these two teams met, Curtis Granderson was hitting cleanup for the Mets. Carlos Gomez was hitting cleanup for the Brewers. Now they're both hitting leadoff.
Both teams, well, what happened to the Brewers, we talked about, they went that 1-11 period where they really had to shake things around. Scooter Gennett now is out of the lineup. So Ricky Weeks back in, and I think I said Jean Segura. It's Jean Segura, but I always want to say Jean because of the French spelling. So right. I'll get it right.
Who's the pitcher? Jean-Marc Gomez.
Yeah.
He has the French style pronunciation. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. And he has just had himself a breakout season at age 28. This is a team that's maturing together. You know, Gomez is 28, Lucroy is 28, Braun is 30, Chris Davis is 26. They've got a lot of players who are right at the opening to the primes of their careers.
Lucroy, they talk all the time about his work ethic, his systematic approach, just a real pro's pro.
He's sixth in the National League in batting coming into the day at .312.
A few hitters batting over 300 in this lineup.
The only team that scored more runs in the National League is the Rockies, and you know they have a little boost from the conditions in their home ballpark. This is a good hitting ballpark as well, but obviously it's not Coors Field. Ron Renicky.
The Brewers have scored more runs than the Mets now in the first inning, 68 to the Mets 66.
One of the Brewers and the Mets 1-2 in the major leagues in first inning runs scored.
So all those teams are having breakout years except the Mets and the Rockies.
But the Rockies have scored the most runs in the league. Just off the plate, a fastball from G, 2-2. Dylan made his first start after the All-Star break in San Diego Saturday. 10 days between starts, and you could tell first inning he was fine, and then after that everything was up, and the Padres hit him hard. Lucroy fouls it away. G gave up a 440-foot bomb to Yasmani Grandal that may not have come down yet. Well, Venable took him deep. Well, gave up 5 hits in 5 innings, but he gave up some rockets. And Lucroy giving him a tussle.
That's the kind of bat you expect from Lucroy. He's a guy with 2 strikes, good 2-strike hitter, cuts down that swing, good 2-strike approach.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Lucroy. And he drives one to deep left field, headed back toward the wall, and it's out of here. Jonathan Lucroy on the 9th pitch of the at-bat with a line drive home run, his 12th of the year. And the Brewers are in front 1-0.
You could hear all the fans with their Luke chant here in Milwaukee. He's become a real fan favorite. And he's got sneaky power. We talked about him having an opportunity this year to on a pace for over 50 doubles, but he's got sneaky power and showed it there. G tried to come inside, but Lucroy would not allow it. And a line drive out here. And you described ball jumps out of this ballpark.
So G, who gave up 2 bombs in his last start, gives up a home run to his second batter tonight. And now Ryan Braun, who has gotten hot, he takes a strike. Braun is not hitting for the power that he did during his glory days, hit as many as 41 home runs in a season. But he's on an 11-game hitting streak right now, hitting .395 over that span. And he floats one foul. And Ronnie, he's become very much a right field hitter.
He has. It's interesting to watch Ryan Braun, who had one of the quickest bats in the league. Just a different kind of hitter now. More doubles. Home runs have come down, maybe not shockingly.
But despite the relatively modest home run total, he's 6th in the National League in slugging percentage, so he's getting his extra base hits. On the outside corner, and G catches him looking. First strikeout for G in the second out of the inning.
Good pitch there by G, and the defensively behind Dillon, Alexis defense. Chris Young, Lagares, and Granderson in the outfield. Infield right, Flores at shortstop. This evening, Murphy and Duda, and Travis d'Arnaud, who catches just about every game now.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Aramis Ramirez, who yesterday reached a milestone. Ramirez played in his 2,000th career game yesterday, one of 14 active players who've played in 2,000 games.
It's a .285 hitter, 366 home runs, 1,322 RBIs, 452 doubles. Quite a career.
Now 36 years old. Remember when he broke in? He was a teenager with the Pirates. And I think, if I remember correctly, he was like 0 for his first 22, and he got his first major league hit against the Mets. And they gave him this huge standing ovation in Pittsburgh, back in the old ballpark. Out to center field, and Lagares has it lined up. And that retires the side. But Jonathan Lucroy gives the Brewers the early edge. Brewers all-star catcher with his 12th home run of the season. 1-0 Milwaukee after 1. Tailgating is a religion here in Wisconsin.
I think they do it better than anyone.
I mean, everybody tailgates for football. These folks tailgate for baseball, and they do it in the cold months of April. They do it in the heat of the summer.
Here in the food room, they serve different kinds of brats, bratwurst.
Here's Lucas Duda to lead off the second inning. And he gets crowded by Garza for ball one. And again, not a full shift by the Brewers after we watched Seattle put on the ultimate shift against Lucas in virtually every at bat.
I think it's a combination, right? Different teams do different things. Their pitcher, the manager has a say in how conventional or not conventional he wants to do it.
Lucas had a couple of walks in yesterday's game, otherwise 0 for 2, but he's been swinging the bat consistently well. Travis d'Arnaud on deck. Chris Young behind him as the Mets bat in the second, down 1-0. Garza's already ahead of the game, having gotten through the first inning. Ricky Weeks in front of the ground ball, and he throws out Duda one away. Garza lasted just 1 out in his last start in Washington on Saturday. Gave up 5 runs and 5 hits through 42 pitches to get 1 out.
You know, it's pretty simple for Garza. It's all about his fastball command. If he's keeping his fastball down, he's got a lot of life, and that sets up that great slider of his.
Last year, he started out with the Cubs and had a really good first half. Then was traded to the Rangers and did not perform well at all.
He was a rental that they wanted to get them over the top when they were chasing the A's. It was not to be.
Signed a 4-year, $50 million contract with the Brewers. And he has had himself an up-and-down year. Travis d'Arnaud grounds the first pitch he sees down to Ramirez, and he's retired 2 away. So that's 4 straight ground ball outs for Garza, and he has set down the first 5. It's always a quarter of the way to Cologne. By the way, Bartolo yesterday became the 5th Met pitcher to retire the first 20 batters. Seaver did it twice.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know, Matt Harvey did it last year. The guy you might forget about, in 1998, Rick Reed against Tampa Bay retired the first 20. Wade Boggs broke it up. Tampa Bay's Wade Boggs.
Hard to say.
Here's Chris Young getting a 2nd straight start against a right-hand pitcher. Now the Mets sent Kirk Neuenhuis down to make room for Wilmer Flores today, but Terry had Eric Young, who had a good game yesterday. Was on base 3 times. He's got Abreu. He's got Eric Campbell. So it almost feels as though the Mets are forcing Chris Young into the lineup to showcase him. I mean, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You can't imagine anybody giving up anything of substance for Chris before the trading deadline,
especially with his contract,
right.
The $7.25 million or whatever's left of it for the rest of the season. It's just interesting to me, Gary. You know, Eric Young yesterday dove into the stands to try to save his pitcher.
Eric Young.
Eric Young. He slid into the wall to try to catch another baseball. He's on the base 3 times, like you mentioned. You know, baseball should be a meritocracy. If you have that kind of game, you should be back in there the next day. But
I mean, the Mets had settled into a pretty firm plan where Chris Young was only playing against lefties, and now all of a sudden these last 2 days to see him in the lineup against righties, it doesn't really compute. But it certainly seems as though there's something going on, because this is not the standard operating procedure as we've known it for the last couple of months. After Chris got a full trial the first couple of months of the season and just didn't perform. 3-1 for Garza and a full count. Things have only gotten worse for Chris. He's 4 for his last 31. Seeing his average drop to 198. He had the good series against his former team, Oakland. He hit the 3 home runs in 2 days, and he hit that game-tying home run for the Mets as a pinch hitter during the last homestand. But those moments have been few and far between. 3-2, and he pops one up in foul ground. That'll go out of play.
I'm sure Keith will address it if he plays over the weekend, but his swing has changed a little bit also. You know, his swing in the beginning of the year was a little longer. I'm noticing now it's almost, he's cut it down considerably. It's almost looks like he's trying to be quicker to the ball, because the good fastball has been beating him.
3-2 from Garza, and he drives one deep left field back toward the corner, and Davis watches it go foul. Just foul. So Chris Young didn't miss by much.
hard to see that in the corner here. There's a little place that we can't see from the booth, although this booth is fantastic. But about 5-6 feet foul.
That's a very deep corner, 344. That's come from Seattle, where it was, what, 327 down in that left field corner. So a long strike. 8th pitch of the at bat now from Garza to Young. And he hits this one in the air to left field. That's playable for Davis. And that retires the side. So 6 up and 6 down for Matt Garza. Middle of the second, 1-0 Milwaukee. Weeks leads off against Dillon G. Milwaukee leading 1-0. Weeks, who had lost his job as the regular second baseman with the Brewers to Scooter Gennett, has reclaimed it for a couple of days with Gennett on the sidelines with a quad injury.
Had a very interesting career. We're talking about a Golden Spikes Award winner, best college player from Southern University. Had all the earmarkings that he was just going to come here and rake. And he's had some great moments, but it has not been as consistent as the Brewers thought it would be.
Tossing with Lance Barksdale again about that last strike call. Weeks was the number 2 overall pick in the draft in 2003, coming out of Southern University. I believe he was a two-time Golden Spikes winner. And that's on the outside corner, and after not getting satisfaction on the previous pitch, Weeks even less thrilled now. Second strikeout for G.
Well, fastball inside he didn't like, and then fastball away. So a nice pitcher strike zone so far from Lance Barksdale.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Chris Davis. Davis having a good power year, 16 home runs. That ties him for 10th in the National League. Second year in the major leagues.
In a strange way, the suspension of Ryan Braun last year gave this young man a chance to play, and they loved what they saw, especially in the power department.
26 years old out of Fullerton State, 7th round pick in 2009. This is a Milwaukee club of free swingers and power hitters. They've drawn the 3rd fewest walks of any team in the National League, but they have the 2nd most home runs.
It's worked for them in the past when they've had some great years here in Milwaukee.
Well, they're not called Renick's wall bangers, but maybe they could be. Let's see where they rank in the National League. Only 7th on base percentage, but the home runs make up for that.
Another part, Ron Renick there, another coach from that staff of Mike Scioscia. That's a manager in the major leagues. Joe Madden, Ron Renick. One of the good managers in the game. Forward thinking, has a lot of interesting thoughts on how to manage during a game. Not conventional.
2-2 from G off the corner. And a full count. G still not quite as sharp as he'd like. Looked great that first start coming back from the disabled list before the All-Star break. Still trying to reclaim that consistency that he had before he got hurt. And that's ball 4, and he walks Davis after getting ahead 0-2. Get to Citi Field Saturday, August 2nd for Fireworks Night, presented by Dwayne Reed, following the Mets game against the Giants at 7:10. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Now Mark Reynolds. Reynolds has played both first base and third base for the Brewers this year. Hit 2 home runs yesterday after hitting just 1 in his previous 37 games. So he's all warmed up and ready to go. Now, for the most part, Reynolds has been platooning at first base with Lyle Overbay, but I guess because of his 2 home run game yesterday, he's getting a chance to play today. It's that meritocracy we're talking about. And gee, really yanking on that fastball.
Feast or famine you get with Mark Reynolds. He's a guy with tremendous power, but he's going to strike out a ton.
It's kind of been his trademark, hasn't it? 1 year struck out 223 times. But in 8 major league seasons, he's hit 218 home runs. Gene Segura, the number 8 hitter on deck. G behind 2-0. And there's a strike with a changeup. 2-1. Davis at first and 1 out. Davis has 3 steals this year, not a big base stealing threat.
Reynolds has 1,370 punch-outs. That's over 200 more than Aramis Ramirez.
He's played twice as long. Gee, really struggling right now.
This is one ballpark. You just can't be walking people or getting behind. We talked about these hitters in the Brewers lineup. They are a team that feasts on 2-1, 3-1 counts.
There's a strike. Full count. This is one of 4 National League teams that Dylan G has never beaten. Hasn't beaten the Reds, the Dodgers, or the Giants either. 0-3 lifetime. First time he's ever pitched here at Miller Park. Davis not running. Reynolds takes ball 4. Back-to-back walks to the 6 and 7 hitters. Ronnie, Keith and I talked about this quite a bit when G had that difficult start in San Diego. You come back from the All-Star break. You've had an extended period of time off, and particularly with a guy like G who had been off because of the injury. How difficult is it especially for a finesse pitcher like G, to get back in sync?
Well, I think it's so difficult. We talked about it before, Gary, maybe throwing a couple of bullpens. You know, the other option you kind of had was to not bring Dylan up for that one start right before the break. Keep him in the minor leagues. He could have gotten a start maybe in down in Florida or something, and just brought him back after the break. That's what you could have done. But For him to wait 10 days, just too long, because he's such a finesse and he needs that touch and he needs to keep the ball down. Whenever you're strong and you are a finesse pitcher, the ball is up in the strike zone, and that's where you get killed.
So Dan Warthen out for some counsel. G will take on the number 8 hitter Gene Segura. Segura not having the offensive year that he had last year, hitting at .235, 2 on and 1 out. And G misses off the corner. Ball 1.
It's a real difficult time. Segura lost a 9-month-old son. Recently was on the bereavement list. So the entire team was worried, about how he was going to react to that. Just came back.
Segura got back on Friday. And, no person should ever have to go through the tragedy of losing a child. And you can't even imagine what it must be like for a 24-year-old guy to have a 9-month-old baby pass away. And then to be able to refocus on a job as difficult as this one in terms of the commitment and the concentration that's necessary to perform at this level.
Last year when he was going well, he's a fun-loving player, always has a smile on his face, and that's kind of been wiped away. All-star last year.
They got him from the Angels in the Zach Greinke deal 2 summers ago. G keeping an eye on Davis with Murphy over. See the numbers from last year for Segura. He just had a great year. 44 steals to go with some power. Two 1 from G, and he fouls it away. Well, if you're facing this Brewers team, you've got to make some hay against the bottom part of the batting order, because the top 4 or 5 guys in that lineup, they can just crush you. G has hurt himself with a couple of walks and now trying to find his way out of it. The pitcher Garza is on deck. Good stop by Darno to keep that from going to the backstop and a full count.
Just does not have any feel right now for that good breaking ball, and we know that Dylan G needs that pitch to navigate his way through lineups.
3rd straight full count for Dylan. Davis at second, Reynolds at first, and 1 out.
Davis has been getting a good secondary lead. Wonder if they'd run him with the pitcher up next.
Not going. It's line over second, base hit. That'll go up the gap and all the way to the wall. Davis scores. Reynolds being waved home. Murphy's relay goes to third. Not in time. A 2-run triple for Gene Segura. And it's 3-0 Milwaukee.
If you're a pitcher whose fastball is not your best weapon, you can't get into fastball counts, and that's what's happened here for Dylan G. 3-2 count, fastball down the middle, covered by Segura. Nice job of hitting. Murphy took the best avenue getting that ball to third base, but Segura too fast.
6th triple of the year for Segura. His 24th and 25th runs driven in, so the walks come back to haunt Dylan G. They've both come home on the triple. Now the infield in with the pitcher Garza up. Garza's never been much of a hitter. 15 hits and 162 major league at bats. That's an .093 lifetime batting average.
You also have to be careful here, because the Brewers at times will even bunt their pitcher here, and if you don't pay attention and just lollygag the throw to first base, Segura will take off.
Murphy fields it off to the side, was fortunate to be able to stay with that one, and throws out Garza. Not the way that you would teach it. But Murphy gets the out, and Segura holds it third.
Yeah, Murph turned sideways there. Lucky Segura, too, wasn't running. But you wouldn't run there with Gomez coming up behind the pitcher.
So 2 out. The infield can back up, but wouldn't recommend they back up too far because Gomez can drop down a bunt. Gomez flied out to center his first time up. Segura at third and 2 out, and Gomez takes one just off his hands.
Well, geez, trying to get inside on Gomez, who doesn't give up too much. He's right on that plate.
Back foot is on the restraining line inside.
No.
A little bit high. And G behind 2-0. How close that back foot is to home plate.
He's open with that front foot, but then he closes it when the pitch approaches.
Line base hit. That'll bring in another run. Segura trots in from third. Carlos Gomez with an RBI single. Drives in his 52nd of the year. And the Brewers pounding on Dylan G. It's now 4-0 in the second.
It's that breaking ball, just kind of a little hanger down and away from Gomez. He's got a lot of flair and a lot of talent.
Dylan G's post All-Star game struggles continue. Now Jonathan Lucroy, took him deep his first time up. This is a Milwaukee team that going into the All-Star break all of a sudden couldn't score. In a 12-game stretch, they scored only 33 runs, lost 11 of 12, and the only game they won during that stretch was a 1-0 win. But since the All-Star break, things have gotten better. They've averaged 5 runs per game. And they've gone 5-2 since the break. There goes Gomez. Double clutch by d'Arnaud. No chance. And Gomez has his 19th stolen base.
Well, perfect pitch to throw on, but d'Arnaud was not moving quick enough to even try to get close to Gomez, and then bounced to throw to Murphy. Travis has been very deliberate with his throws since coming back and has not thrown well.
So Gomez in scoring position with 2 out. And Lucroy bounces one foul.
Unless you have a Molina kind of arm, there's got to be an expectation level from your catcher that he's got to bust out of there, whatever it takes to kind of get that throw on the way to second. And to me, deliberate is the appropriate word. It just seems like Travis is making sure he gets in the right position to throw, as opposed to the urgency you need to get good base runners.
G ahead 0-2, and Lucroy fouls it off. Well, d'Arnaud's defense has been something of a mixed bag, right? I mean, he's a terrific framer of pitches. He gets a lot of strikes that way, but the catching part of the game and the throwing part of the game have not been really what he liked.
Yeah, still definitely a work in progress. Now, I temper that. The caveat has been that Dylan G allowed Gomez a huge jump at first base.
But we've seen, even with guys like Jonathan Neese, who hold runners very well, teams have been taking some more liberties lately against the Mets with their running game.
10 for 42 now is d'Arnaud throwing out runners.
3 runs are home in the inning, and G trying to find the exit. About to throw his 30th pitch of the inning. Lucroy battling through 9 pitches his first at bat before lacing a home run over the left field wall. And he pulls that one foul.
Something you don't see in today's game. Gomez with that good secondary lead, and after a foul ball, hustled back to second base. Have to worry about him slowing down the game.
It's a bundle of energy. There goes Gomez, and it's slapped to the right side. Duda can't get it. Base hit. Gomez trots on in. Lucroy able to get it past Duda for a soft RBI single. And now it's 5-0 Milwaukee.
Well, I don't know why Gomez is running, but it's really inconsequential. That ball not hit hard enough. That should not be a base hit, but gets under the glove of Lucas.
So 4 runs home in the inning, and G has not been able to stop the bleeding, and now Ryan Braun will be the 8th man up in the inning. Daisuke Matsuzaka doing some exercises, but he's a long way from getting himself ready to come in. Flores makes the flip. That retires the side. But 4-run score after 2. Milwaukee 5. Mets nothing. In the all-new Audi A3. Now the Mets with a huge uphill climb now against Matt Garza, down 5-0 as we go to the third. Garza's retired the first 6. Wilmer Flores just back from the minor leagues where he was tearing it up at Las Vegas. Recently had a 22-game hitting streak. 80 big league at bats this year, hitting at .225. Flores has been playing both second and short down at Vegas to get him ready for his return to the big leagues, and here he is. And Wilmer takes a fastball for a strike. It'll be Flores, then Lagares, and G for the Mets, who have not found themselves in this kind of an early hole very often this year. Pulled down to third. Nice diving play by Ramirez from his knees. No chance, and Flores has an infield hit. So Ramirez, who made a great play going to his left earlier, makes a nice stop here to save a double, but can't get Flores at first.
It's interesting. The ball, once it jumped out of his glove, he couldn't get up and fire a strike over there and try to just get rid of it as any way he could.
So the Mets have their first base runner of the night on the Flores infield hit. And now Juan Lagares, who has struggled with the bat on this road trip, just 3 for 21.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of glassed over when you win, right? The last 2 games in Seattle that the Mets won, they had 10 hits and 6 runs.
And Lagares takes below the knees for ball 1. Juan's been getting a little down on himself about his offense the last few days.
Laid down a perfect bunt in Seattle and was thrown out by a nice play by Kyle Seager.
And the coaching staff has had to remind him, even the best hitters go through slumps, and you can't hang your head. You can't mope back to the dugout. You just have to get ready to play defense and prepare for your next at bat.
Remember earlier in the year, Terry Collins was saying that Juan led the team in broken bats in the runway.
Sitting 8th in the order today, and Garza falls behind him 3-0. So Garza handed a 5-run lead. He's given up an infield hit. Now behind 3-0 to the 8-hitter with Dylan G out on deck. There's a strike. Hits it out to center, chasing Gomez back. And back to first goes Flores, one away. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Dylan G. See if he's asked to sacrifice here in a 5-0 game.
I think you definitely would. You're trying to get back any runs you can, take a shot with getting a runner in scoring position. Ramos Ramirez thinks he's bunting as he's come in about 70 feet away from G.
And Dylan bunts it foul. Dylan hasn't hit well. He hasn't bunted well this year.
That was just the opposite from last year when he was a tougher out and seemingly always got the bunt down.
Seems strange to see a pitcher hit after 3 days with the DH. Ball and a strike to G. Garza is part of a Milwaukee pitching staff that has been good enough but not great.
Well, it's interesting. I think they went in thinking that Garza and Gallardo would be their 2 rocks, but it's really been Loesch and Peralta that have been the better pitchers.
That's we'll see Giovanni Gallardo, who's been kind of infuriating tomorrow night. Still capable of a great game on occasions, but he really hasn't done it often this year. Reynolds handles the bunt, 3-4 on the sacrifice, moving Flores to second. And there are your city probables for the remainder of the series. Zach Wheeler goes tomorrow night against Gallardo. John Neese Saturday night against Peralta. And then Jacob deGrom tries to keep his fine run going against one of the young hopefuls for the Brewers, Jimmy Nelson.
I mean, if you're a starting pitcher and your highlight for the season was a walk-off hit, which was Gallardo got a hit, that's not a good thing.
Well, what it tells you, though, is that this Milwaukee team that has designs on the postseason, they've been in first place either by themselves or tied since April 5th. And they've got one of the best offenses in the league. They've got a chance to be better.
Yeah.
Because you look at guys like Garza and Gallardo and you think, well, they could really kick it in gear the last couple of months. And if they do, the Brewers might really have something here.
Yeah, and Gallardo's always been a good second half pitcher. So
Granderson yanks one foul. Some unoccupied seats. Well, the Brewers got off to an unbelievable start this year, and they've kind of played 500 balls since. And that horrible stretch before the All-Star break let a 6.5 game lead turn to 0. But now they've opened it up again after sweeping the Reds these last 3 days.
Good breaking ball there by Garza. The best thing that might have happened to them right before the All-Star break, Sunday before the All-Star break, Willie Peralta won his 10th game, and that was a huge win for them to go on the break with.
1-2 coming. Struck him out with a fastball. Garza has his first strikeout of the night. And the Mets have turned aside in the top of the third. When we come back, Kevin Burkhardt talks live with Mets starter Zach Wheeler. Meanwhile, tomorrow's starting pitcher Zach Wheeler is standing by with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, Zach, you know, it's interesting. You had that game in Miami, complete game. You were dominant. Next start, obviously a tough time. You went 2 innings against Oakland. But since that start, you've been unbelievable. You've allowed 4 total runs. What motivated you from that start against the A's?
I don't know. I mean, I knew I had it, all this time. And then I had that really good game against Miami. And, I just had a bad game against the A's. And, I just put a bad taste in my mouth. So, I try to work a little bit harder and, just work a little bit more in between starts, to prepare and stuff like that against the other hitters.
People see you from the outside when they've heard you talk to us on the air. They see you're laid back. You're a Southern guy. How would you describe your own competitive fire?
Yeah, I mean, I am laid back. But once I cross those white lines, I turn into a whole different person. So, I like to go out there and compete and, battle. And I love pitching, and I love getting outs and winning.
How about the battle of keeping improving and getting your manager to trust you? Like in that Miami start, obviously he trusted you, let you go the whole way. What's that like as a young pitcher, just trying to earn that trust and to let you get through tough spots in the game, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. You have to understand sometimes that your pitch count may be up there and it's still earlier in the season or something like that. That's why he took you out. But if he does leave you in there a little bit longer than you think that he might, just tell him thank you. And, in between innings, you can come in and just be like, I'm still good or something like that, just to give him a little heads up. So, yeah. I mean, other than that, it's really understandable, his mindset.
It's been a little over a year now. You've been a big leaguer. What have you learned about the hitters, about the different teams, about yourself in this year's time in the bigs?
Hitters are making adjustments to me, so I got to make them back. When I came up, they're having a little bit of trouble just because, I was a harder thrower and I had good off-speed stuff. So they had to make the adjustment to me, and like I said, they made it. So now I have to make an adjustment to them the next go around. And especially with teams in our division, we face them so many times. Just changing things up also. If I pitch into somebody and I always get them out, maybe go away because they're starting to turn on that inside pitch.
Give me another example. What other type, when you say make an adjustment to you, so how do you counter that? I mean, you are what you are, essentially. You can't totally change who you are. So what do you do as a pitcher to change that?
Well, I'm a fastball guy, so people are going to start jumping on my fastball, early in the count, earlier in the game, trying to, get the runners on base. So I might start, using my curveball a little bit more just to get it over and, keep them off balance. And when it's, an 0-2 count or something like that, when I normally throw an off-speed pitch, I might just throw a fastball and try to get it by him. And they're like, oh, if that was a ball, they might think another, curveball's coming, but I'm going to blow another fastball. And try to, keep them off balance and keep their mind going.
Your strikeout totals are up. Your walk totals are down this year. Because of that, has there been a secondary pitch that you've gotten more confidence in that's really helped you get to that point?
Yeah, honestly, I'm feeling good with everything right now. Change-up has come a long way for me. And it might not be the best, but it feels really good to me because I've never really had one that I can somewhat control. So, it's a good pitch for me right now. And, it can always get better. And then, the curveball, I can, throw any time, any place. And the slider, I've been able to make it a little bit smaller and go back door with it to lefties. Or, I can, make it bigger to go, down and away to righties or something like that, or back foot to lefties. So I've been able to do a lot more things with my off-speed pitches this year, just watching other guys like Bartolo, throwing front door sinkers to lefties. I've never done that before. Yeah. And, I just went out there and tried it, and it's been working, so why not keep doing it?
Just one last one. I know G's a different pitcher than you, but when you watch these guys that are normally pretty aggressive, what do you take from tonight as you get ready for tomorrow?
I've been sitting inside here watching it, and, just seeing the other guys' tendencies when they're ahead or when G's ahead, where they, leaning out over the plate looking for the off-speed pitch or something like that. So you're just trying to take little mental notes.
Zach, thanks for the time. Best of luck tonight and for you tomorrow.
Thanks, Kevin.
Zach Wheeler, good insight from him. Dylan's having a little tough time, Gary. Back up to you.
Thanks very much, Kevin, and thanks very much to Zach. Meanwhile, things not getting any better for Dylan G. Back-to-back doubles for Ricky Weeks and Chris Davis to produce yet another Milwaukee run and make it 6-0.
Weeks went down the left field line, and now Davis, who has tremendous power to right field, with a double right.
So 6 runs and 6 hits against G, and other than that crawler by Lucroy, all of them have been hit hard. Mark Reynolds now bats for the second time. He drew a walk his first time up, and he takes a big rip. And the Brewers are just not getting cheated on their swings at all.
They're uber aggressive team. They're the kind of team that you have to get ahead of, and once you get ahead, you can start throwing pitches out of the strike zone. They will chase. But Dylan has not been ahead of many hitters all game long. So
Daisuke Matsuzaka gets to work in the bullpen as the changeup misses to Reynolds, a ball and a strike. The Mets have not had a need for a long man very often this year, but they've really got 2 guys in the bullpen now who can be long men with Daisuke and Carlos Torres.
And maybe even 3. Danny Eveling can give you some extra innings sometimes.
Mm-hmm. He's been so valuable, though, as a lefty specialist, though. I mean, the Mets bullpen has been so spectacular. And with the return of G and Neese to the rotation, it just makes that bullpen that much stronger with Daisuke out there.
And let's face it, Daisuke's best work this season has been out of the bullpen, despite some real good starts. Usually when you have a right-handed starter struggling, sometimes you go to a lefty because the lineup is left-handed, but it's not here with the Brewers.
Reynolds down on strikes. 3rd strikeout for G. 2 down to the inning.
So you get ahead, you can throw something out of the strike zone. The reason he has all those strikeouts.
So 2 outs. Segura the batter. Segura rifled a triple to right center to drive in a pair of runs in the second. And the Mets are going to pitch to him even with 2 out and the pitcher on deck.
This is one case I would not pitch to him. Can't afford to give up any runs. I mean, it's 6-0 already, but Garza's just not a good hitter at all.
Got jammed. Rolls it out to Duda. And that retires the side, but the Brewers had a run on back-to-back doubles by Weeks and Davis. 6-0 Milwaukee after 3. But there is one of the ponds here in Milwaukee. Right by the Milwaukee River.
That's funny.
Some of the fine facts about Milwaukee, Wisconsin, home of Harley Davidson.
There was a Harley Davidson on the field before the game. Gene Wilder, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, we managed to put up an entire full screen graphic about Milwaukee, not mention sausage, cheese, or beer.
Very good. Very good.
I mean, we did have the cheese background, but that's, you know, normally that's where you start. Nice easy hop for Mark Reynolds, and Murphy retired to start the 4th inning.
What's the population about here?
600,000.
Does that include the ghosts in our hotel?
Well, you know, there was a time that the Mets couldn't stay at their hotel here in Milwaukee. They had to change hotels because they had too many players who were concerned about the spirits that might be lurking. We have a somewhat more reality-based group now. Here's David Wright, who was robbed of a base hit on a fine play by Ramos Ramirez his first time up. So we were just in Seattle and we saw the Mariners struggle offensively for the last 3 days. Noted that they were in hot pursuit of a bat, and they brought back a familiar face today in Kendrys Morales, traded with the Twins to get him back.
It's another one of those players that was offered over $14 million by his team to stay. Chose not to. Thought he was going to be able to go on the market and get a better contract like Stephen Drew. It did not work out.
He was trying to get a 3-year, $30 million deal from the Mariners, who did not bite, and they had some discussions off and on before he finally signed with the Twins. The thing about Morales is, there's a strike. I mean, the Mariners, I think, are going to owe him about $4.5 million for the rest of the season. And off the numbers he's put up so far this year, you'd hardly say that he was worth it. Now, obviously, they're hoping that now that he's had a month or so to get his feet wet, maybe have his spring training, maybe he can produce the last 2 months.
Been humbled, all of those things.
Yeah.
They need something. I mean, we're just watching the Mets play them in that series. I mean, we noted a couple times they need to lengthen that lineup a little bit. Corey Hart and Logan Morrison have not provided enough so far.
David down swinging. Second strikeout for Garza, and they're 2 away. Well, Seattle was in that second wild card spot the entire week the Mets were there. As you see that two-seamer to get right. Now the Yankees and Toronto have both caught Seattle for that second spot. So they're if they intend to stick around there, they definitely need to upgrade. And I don't know if Morales is the answer or not, or if they're going to keep looking.
That was just, I think it's a decision. They just got to get someone over here. And they're probably still working.
There's Duda, who grounded out his first time up. Well, I think that's the approach the Yankees took in bringing in Chase Headley. It was the we've got to get someone approach, hoping that he could get back to his prior form, much the way the Mariners hoping that Morales will. The Yankees made another move today. They picked up Chris Capuano from Colorado. Breaking ball, and it's a strike. Nothing and 2 to Duda.
Lost Tanaka, CC Sabathia, Ron Nova, Pineda still in the minor leagues throwing.
Oh, 2 from Garza, and Duda pops one foul. And speaking of Tanaka, he's trying to rehab that elbow, and doesn't look like it's going well. Yeah. He says he still has a lot of pain in that elbow. It's not looking like he's going to be able to avoid that Tommy John surgery, and you'd have to think that if he's going to have it, you'd want to have it as soon as possible to salvage some of next year.
Well, then you could pitch in the second half maybe next year.
So Dice K continuing to throw, so perhaps G's night is already done.
Did you hear what Yu Darvish said about that? Yu Darvish was saying that he thinks that American baseball, Major League Baseball, should go to a 6-man rotation once a week.
Well, that's what they do in Japan.
And he never had any issues in Japan, Darvish or Tanaka.
1-2 from Garza. Off the corner. Garza was headed toward the dugout. Has to come back. He's quite a character, isn't he?
It's pretty highly strung, Matt Garza. What'd you say? He's on his 5th team?
5th team in 9 years. Started out with Minnesota, then Tampa Bay, Cubs, Rangers, now Milwaukee. And after getting ahead on Duda, he goes to a full count.
In fact, threw a no-hitter with the Tampa Bay Rays in 2010. Number 1 pick of the Twins.
And of Fresno State. Fresno, a ripe area for pitchers. Mets found a guy named Seaver there. Bobby Jones, Dick Selma. 3-2, and Duda fouls it back just under us. We were talking yesterday about the physics of getting a ball in the booth. It's a possibility here.
Oh, absolutely.
Still say it's impossible where we sit at Citi
Impossible.
Field. But we need to prove that.
Yes, we do.
Need empirical data. Outside, ball 4, and Duda works out a walk. The first of the night for Garza, and only the Mets' second base runner. So Travis Darnell will come up with the man on. Travis grounded out to third base his first time up. 22nd game for Darno since returning from Las Vegas, and he's hitting over 300 since his return. So you watch what Darno has done since coming back, and you look at the numbers that Flores put up in Las Vegas, and you wonder, can Wilmer have a similar transition back to the big leagues after struggling early in the year?
I mean, he was red hot. Had a 22-game hitting streak just end recently.
I mean, you tend to look askance at the numbers that are put up in the Pacific Coast League because of the thin air and the hard fields and all the things that work in the hitter's favor there. At the same time, though, you're talking about young players trying to build their confidence, and you wonder, can that work for them even if the numbers are inflated?
Well, think about it. The home runs that Darno hit while he was in Vegas, I'm sure it gave him lots and lots of confidence. You know, talk about it all the time, Gary. Guys working on things, or a pitcher in the bullpen trying to get through things. Really, though, at this level, you got to have some results come your way. Doesn't matter how much you work on things. So for the hitters, and maybe not for the pitchers, especially going to Vegas, for the hitters, it's a nice place to send you where you're going to get some immediate results, maybe.
Two hopper to Ramirez, gets the force play, and that'll do it for the Mets in the top of the fourth. 6-0 Milwaukee. No fees and pay no service fees for any tickets purchased for any remaining game this season. Hurry to save because this offer is only available until Tuesday, July 29th. That's Mets.com/no fees to purchase tickets without any fees. Garza leads off the home fourth inning and takes a strike, 1-1. Dylan G back to the mound. We thought he might be done after 3 troubled innings, but after his last outing, which was a troubled one, G was pinch hit for in the top of the 6th and was a little unhappy because he had thrown only 80 pitches and he was trying to get his pitch count up because he hasn't thrown 100 pitches in a while. As Garza strikes out, and perhaps the fact that Terry is sticking with him at this point is in deference to that, just trying to get him stretched out a little bit.
I mean, listen, you know, you're always managing to win the game, but sometimes you have these circumstances where you have a guy like Dylan G. You think he's a big part of your ball club, and you need him to get his work.
Here's Carlos Gomez, who singled in a run, stole a base, and scored one himself in the second.
As you know, I'm a big believer in that. Best place to find it is out there. Okay, so it's 6-0. It's not a good game, but work on some things here that'll make you better, that by the next start all of these problems are ironed out.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but the next time Dylan G starts, we're going to be looking at him from the opposite direction.
Is it one of those games, huh?
Tuesday night, which will be Dylan's next start against the Phillies. You and Keith and I are going to be broadcasting from right next to the Shea Bridge in right center field at Citi Field.
Do we have the proper security for Keith? That's very important.
Now, just what does Keith require when you say proper security?
I think he needs
Lagares ranging back, and he'll get there, 2 out.
Legion of guys to get him to the Shea Bridge, to get him back to the Shea Bridge. Gomez. It's funny how he just kind of tomahawked that to right center field. You know what's interesting about Gomez is that he's one of the few hitters in quite some time that's kind of taken ownership of his career. He was with a lot of teams that wanted him to bunt, hit the ball on the ground, use his speed. And about a year ago or a year and a half ago, he said, you know, it's not working for me. I'm more of a free swinger. I got some power. And he took ownership of his career, and he's made himself into an all-star.
Well, and credit to Ron Renicky and the Brewers for allowing him to do that, because the Mets didn't have him for long, but the Twins did, and they very much tried to rein him in, as the Brewers did when he first got here. And it wasn't working, and they allowed him to be his own guy, and it's paid off for them. You see the Coors Light cold hard facts the last 2 years for Gomez.
He's unreignable. He's just one of those free spirits that great hand-eye coordination and playing at its best level right now.
Well, you know, you watch him now and you think back to the Mets having him at the same time as Jose Reyes. I mean, he's about as dynamic a talent as Reyes was, right, as he, you know, turned into the player he became. And nobody ever, well, I was going to say nobody ever put the reins on Jose, but they did. They tried to teach him to run differently. That didn't work out. And then they let him go. 5 strikeouts for G, his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. After 4, 6-0 Milwaukee. Spot in the bigs here from Curtis Granderson, Anthony Recker, Tim Tuffle, and Kirk Neuenhuis. 4 Mets in 4 different stages of fulfilling their dreams on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 5:30, only on SNY. Infinity brings us this date in baseball history. This date in 1965, Casey Stengel managed his last game. Fractured left hip took him out of action. He was replaced by Wes Westrom, who became the second manager in Mets history midway through that 1965 season. Casey, I think, was 74 when his managerial career came to an end. Chris Young lifts one toward the right field line. Ryan Braun goes over to get it. 1 out.
It's one of those facts I had no idea that he had left in the middle of the season. Wow. Wilmer
Flores, who has the only Met hit. Ground ball over third. Aramis Ramirez made a nice diving play, but couldn't throw him out. This is the third stint for Wilmer with the Mets this year. Came up right after the start of the season, was here for just a short period of time, went back down. Then they brought him up intending to make him the everyday shortstop, but he got sick. And Ruben Tejada went on a tear, claimed his job back. Flores basically sat around for a couple of weeks, and then they figured, well, he can't sit around. He's 22 years old. He's got to play.
And play shortstop.
So they sent him back down, and he went on a tear down in Vegas, playing second and short. And talking to Terry Collins before the game today, he says this is probably not just a couple of day thing for Flores to be here and fill in for Tejada. It's Flores being here and trying to find ways to get him in the lineup, whether that means playing a day or two at second, giving David Wright a day off, whatever that might be. Fly ball hit out to left. And Chris Davis right there. 2 out.
It's interesting that you're describing Flores as, so he's had 3 different really roles. The first time not really a role at all. Second time to become a starter that didn't work out. And here Terry Collins was saying he's going to play some short. Maybe I can give David a day off at third, Murph a day off at second base. He's going to have to try to find at bats for him.
We'll see how that works out. Here's Lagares, who fly to center. The one thing that's for certain is that Tejada's fine. And he should be able to play tomorrow. But whether he does play tomorrow, whether Flores is back in the lineup tomorrow, I think that's a day-to-day proposition right now. Ruben, who was very, very fortunate. Scared, but ultimately fortunate. Segura throws out Lagares, an easy inning for Matt Garza as he sets the Mets down 1-2-3. Halfway through, 6-0 Milwaukee. And it comes to us from Cole.
That's hilarious.
Got all the big heads.
What is that?
Big heads all get. Is that Steve Carell in the lower left? Is he on our crew now?
That's
very nice. Does that mean we got a role in some production that we're not familiar with?
Maybe.
Ryan Braun leading off the home fifth. Braun's 0 for 2 tonight.
There's a lot of things I've been involved in. I'm not sure I knew I was going to be involved in this year.
You're saying it's trending? you and Keith, that you've both got thespian experience.
Oh, yeah, right. I was so bad as an actor, they couldn't even use my voice. They had to use another person's voice in the movie Shallow Hal, which I've never seen, and people find
I'm
that.
sorry. What? I've never heard this story before. That's not your voice?
It's not my voice. It's the bigger Hawaiian guy in the movie. It's his voice dubbed over mine.
Really?
Yeah. They needed me to say something in like Hawaiian Pidgin. They didn't know I grew up in Massachusetts.
Right.
I don't know Hawaiian Pidgin. And I was just so bad at it, they had to have it dubbed with the real native Hawaiian guy's voice.
So the actual Lee boy spoke your lines.
Yes.
Fly ball into shallow left, and Chris Young is there.
I mean, how embarrassing is that?
Now, I've seen that movie several times,
yeah.
And I've seen your scene in the bar, and it sounds like you, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just thought it was you because the words were coming out of your mouth.
I know I'm not wrong, and I know that's not my voice, but it was kind of funny because, like I said, I've never seen the movie, but people who have seen the movie knew it was not my voice. Said, "Hey, that's pretty good. Whose voice was that?"
That's very funny. Curtis Granderson stands under Ramirez's fly ball, and there are 2 out. Now, why have you not seen the movie?
I don't know. I mean, it's not because I've actively said I'm not seeing the movie.
It's a pretty funny movie.
But you know how real Hollywood actors always go, well, I don't like to watch my work. Once it's on the canvas, I just let it play. They always have that kind of thing that they'll say.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I just have not ever gotten to the point where I've watched the movie. I should, I guess. I heard it's pretty funny.
I would like to, at some point, sit down and watch the movie with you.
That's not going to happen. I'd be very embarrassed. It's hard for me to get red-faced with this brown skin, but it'll happen.
Ricky Weeks takes a strike.
It was an interesting shoot, though, because I flew all night long from California on a red eye, got to Charlotte where they shot it, got there at 6:30 in the morning, was in the trailer from 6:30 in the morning to 11:45 at night. At 11:45, they came and got me out of my trailer, shot the scene in less than 15 minutes, done by 12.
That was it? One take? You're done?
One take. Just like our own.
Now that I believe. To Weeks, up and away. Weeks doubled and scored a run in the 3rd. G's retired 7 in a row, but with the horse already out of the barn. Now at 90 pitches for the night. And he gets Weeks on strikes to end the inning. So that's 8 in a row for G. 6 strikeouts on the night for Dillon. 5 in the books in Milwaukee. 6-0 Brewers.
Park, gorgeous night in Milwaukee, and the storyline, as Gary and Ron have been talking about today, at least one of them, is Wilmer Flores. And now that he's here, and now that we at least think that Tejada is just fine, how exactly will he play going forward? And if he does, what can we expect? Well, I talked to Wally Backman today, who of course manages him at AAA and has seen enough of him this year and last year. And Wally had some really interesting things to say about Flores. He said, look, I think if he plays every day, I think he will produce, because that's what he's done for me for 2 years. So the thing about him is there will be some games, some even consecutively, where he will have some swings which are just not pretty. I mean, some ugly at-bats. But you can't get discouraged by that. He said he is a run producer. He really is. He's got that type of mindset, and he's done it down here. That's what I've seen. Here's another take on him, which I found kind of interesting. While he thought that the camp at Michigan helped him, remember that offseason camp he went to get in better shape? He says defensively, yeah, he's made a couple errors, but he thinks he's a tick quicker. And here's the evidence, at least, that he has. They time him going down to first base from home plate. He's at 4.2 this year. He said last year he was never better than 4.4. Is that a monumental improvement? No, but it's an improvement in quickness, something that Flores never had. So maybe just a little bit better at short, a little bit faster. And if he gets a chance to play, maybe a consistent run producer. Meanwhile, I'm out here in right field trying to find who really has been Ron Darling's voice for the last 9
years. This is the best place to be in the euchre seats, Kevin.
Well, I'm glad you're in right field, Kevin, not in left field, where they almost burned down the house earlier this week.
Right.
A big fire out in the kitchen and Fridays. He is in the euchre seats.
Yes, he is.
Just a bit outside, huh? Segura on the charge, throws out Eric Young. And that's the first out of the sixth. Young pinch hitting for G is retired. So the Miami Marlins beat the Braves again tonight. They got a run in the ninth. Jared Saltalamacchia RBI single off Craig Kimbrell. And they beat Atlanta 3-2. Miami takes 3 out of 4 in Atlanta. Here's the real Bob Uecker in his real seat, showing off his favorite brand of golf balls.
He's so interesting. Like he was in the press room or food room today, and he doesn't even really have to say anything. It's just funny once he opens his mouth.
Granderson rolls out for the second out. Ueck has had himself quite a career, both as a player, which he self-deprecates a lot, and that's how he really started his second career, with going on with Johnny Carson and talking about his career in a humorous way. Those are the official euchre seats, by the way. They just designated those this year. But his acting career, but also has had a long and meritorious career just as an everyday radio broadcaster here in Milwaukee, and pretty much plays it straight, although he is Ueck.
And his original home run call, get up, get out of here.
Now, how many guys have their home run call up in words above the outfield fence?
Yeah, it's above Bernie's dugout. Wow. He is. He's an institution here.
Bernie, of course, being Bernie Brewer, who makes the slide onto a platform, not into a mug of beer as he used to at County Stadium. Don't ask me why.
We're being a little more PC, is that what it looks
Well, they're still the Brewers.
Yeah.
They're named after beer.
That should have been the one tradition that was kept.
Come on. 2-1 to Murphy, who's 0 for 2. I mean, they have racing sausages. Can you tell me that's any less healthy than Bernie sliding into a mug of beer?
Got a tip on the sausage race, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
Is there a place to make a wager?
I took care of us already.
Okay.
We're in.
There are the racing sausages, at least the tops of them, getting ready for their jaunt. 2-2 from Garza, and Murphy goes down on strikes. Garza has the Mets in his hip pocket tonight. 6 innings, 1 hit, and 6 strikeouts. 6-0 Brewers. the 6th inning for New York.
Well, he's fared much better out of the pen. This is his 19th game. His ERA in those 18 appearances, 2.45.
All right, so you said you had a tip on the sausage race.
Yes, I did. Said Polish absolutely is going to be the winner.
Now, the Polish is the number 2 sausage.
Polish sausage.
So I should run out, and that's the stripes on the left.
Yes.
Let's see how the Polish fares.
Italian has the early lead. He looks easy going. They approach home plate. They're into the home
It's
stretch.
not looking good, Ronnie.
Well, come on. He's got a good kick, I've heard.
Can he handle it? I don't know. Rod Hot Dog
boy.
and the Polish are out of it.
So does the Polish sausage finish last in this race?
Maybe that was the tip.
Well, that is bad intel.
Well, the Italian wins tonight. He's got the hefty lead. Better luck next time.
I hope you don't mind. I put a dime on it, so I'll collect it your half later.
Chris Davis connects deep left center, headed toward the wall, and it's out of here. First pitch thrown by Daisuke Matsuzaka, and Chris Davis launches his 17th home run, and the Brewers extend their lead to 7-0.
I was saying before his first at bat that Chris Davis just has freaky power. Showed it last season, has continued this year. All over this little cutter from Matsuzaka.
And one of the Brewers relievers caught the ball in his hat. Who was that?
Gorzolani.
That's terrific. Hats off to you, Tom.
That's what you can do when you're starting pitchers throwing a one-hitter.
Brewers are styling tonight. Mark Reynolds has walked and struck out. So Dylan G in his second start back from the All-Star break, 91 pitches in 5 innings, 6 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and a home run. So that's 2 starts, 10 innings, 10 runs, 11 hits. David Wright in front of the ground ball, throws out his old buddy Reynolds for the first out. So it's been a very different stretch here for Dylan G, who was so good early in the season, so good in his first start back from the disabled list, and now in these 2 starts since the break, just a whole different pitcher.
And you know, it's hard to judge after you've given up 6 runs if the last 3 innings he pitched or a different thing, or the last 2 innings he pitched. But when you look at it, he was ahead of the hitters at the end of his stint here, and he wasn't at all in the beginning of the game.
Gene Segura had a huge hit. It was 1-0 when he tripled to right center to drive in 2 runs in the third and made it 3-0. So the Braves, with that loss today, fall a game and a half behind the Nationals, who are off tonight. Washington starts a series with slumping Cincinnati tomorrow, while the Braves stay home to play San Diego and welcome Jeff Francoeur back home. Frenchie went 1 for 3 in his Padres debut yesterday. Another shot to center field, but Lagares right there to play it, 2 out. So Segura's retired, and now Matt Garza comes up for the 3rd time. Garza has grounded out and struck out 0 for 2.
It's been a funny summer, huh? I mean, it's not cool, but it's usually these days in the Midwest are so hot and humid.
Certainly cool for late July. Temperatures in the mid-60s right now. Well, we said it before this trip began that we wouldn't have to worry about weather at any point. San Diego,
right.
Seattle with the roof, Milwaukee with the dome. Never have a problem like they had at Yankee Stadium last night where they couldn't get the tarp on the field.
How did that happen?
Roof open tonight on a gorgeous night. Supposed to be a little nasty tomorrow, so we might see the roof closed for the second game of the series.
Only takes a couple minutes for it to close also.
And Garza down on strikes, so Daisuke gets the next 3 hitters after giving up the leadoff bomb to Chris Davis. After 6 in Milwaukee, 7-0 Brewers. City. Nice walk on either side of the river. Your Mets upcoming schedule brought to you by Honda. 3 more games here in Milwaukee. The next 2 nights we're on Pix 11, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Saturday night. Back on SNY Sunday for the final game at 2. And then the Mets are home to play the Phillies and the Giants in this upcoming week. Might be a very different Philadelphia team by the time we see them.
Right.
David Wright will lead off as we go to the 7th inning. Matt Garza working on a 1-hit shutout. The only hit, an infield single by Wilmer Flores in the 3rd. Lucas Duda walked in the 4th, and those two, the only thing separating Garza from perfection. Speaking of which, in Kansas City tonight, Corey Kluber for the Cleveland Indians. Perfect through 6. So
inspired by Bartolo.
Bartolo came within 7 outs yesterday. Kluber's within 9 outs tonight against the Royals. By the way, no score in that game, which could be a complicating factor. Could be a Harvey Haddix kind of a night. David Wright is 0 for 2, robbed of a hit by Ramirez in the 1st, struck out in the 4th. Takes a big rip, 1-1. For fans who may not be acquainted, 1959 Harvey Haddix, pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates, was perfect for 12 innings against the Milwaukee Braves, only to lose in the 13th inning. So if you go to the record books and you look for no-hitters and perfect games, Haddix is not listed because he didn't finish it, but it may be the greatest game ever pitched.
That's right.
12 perfect innings. Down the right field line, long one for Braun toward the corner, and it goes foul. Braun's got nailed by the carom.
Very interesting for Braun in right field. They made the opening with putting Chris Davis left and moved Braun into right. He had only played 1 inning in right field before that, and that had been in an all-star game.
Well, when Braun first came up, he was the 3rd baseman. So he's had to make a couple of position transitions in his career. Gray lays off the breaking ball, 2-2. Garza has walked one. He struck out only 3. Kept his pitch count down. He could go very deep into this game. He's averaged just a shade over 6 innings per start this year. Has 1 complete game. That was a shutout. Full count to right. Duda and d'Arnaud to follow for the Mets in the 7th. Garza's 3-2, and right bounces one toward the middle. Weeks on the backhand, the quick throw. Got him. Tom Goodwin, the Mets first base coach, saying that Reynolds came off the bag, and Terry Collins is going to come out, and we'll see whether he challenges.
Well, good play by Weeks, and Tom Goodwin might be right. I don't know if it'll get overturned with that picture. The long throw for Weeks.
Kerwin Danley is the first base umpire. Terry's out talking to him right now while the Mets video coordinator Jim Kelly communicates with the bench, and the Mets aren't going to challenge. It certainly appeared from that last shot that he was off, but the question was, is there clear and convincing evidence enough to overturn?
And it could be a base hit for David.
So the umpires will go to the headset. No gym bag here. Headsets are wired directly. It's hard to see there. Certainly the throw beat him. That's not the issue. The issue is whether Reynolds was on the bag with the ball.
Maybe it was just my eyes, but when David came back, I thought he was hobbled a little bit. When you're trying to beat out those base hits, sometimes you lunge for that first base bag.
And David has not stayed out there to see whether the call's going to be overturned. Usually you do that. There's that angle, which I don't know if that's definitive or not. Play under review brought to you by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. Mets won their challenge yesterday in Seattle and had the call go their way twice, once on their own challenge and once on Seattle's. Kerwin Danley on the right and Lance Barksdale on the left, the 2 umpires on the headsets. Now, how come here they don't have the gym bag with the headsets in?
That gym bag is hilarious.
It's like the highlight of the whole challenge thing, having the attendant come out with the gym bag.
If I don't see the gym bag, I just don't feel satisfied.
Now, yesterday we had one of the fastest reviews we've seen. I think it was like 39 seconds when the Mets got the call overturned late in the game.
It's interesting. The umpires are watching the replay on the board while they're listening, I guess, to New York.
Now, this is the one where it appears that his foot may be off.
Why this is any good for the game? You got all the players standing up, their hats.
And they confirm the out call, so the Mets lose that challenge. So the call stands. Wright is retired on a 4-3 put out. And life goes on.
With a delay, it goes on.
The perfect game bid by Corey Kluber was broken up in the bottom of the 7th inning. Another one bites the dust. Here's Duda, one of the 2 Met base runners tonight, threw a walk in the 4th inning. Two 2 minutes and 26 seconds, the official time on your replay review.
I'll put that down. I've been keeping track of that.
Have you really? Oh, I didn't think so. Verizon trivia question for tonight. Most singles in Mets history. Now we know David Wright has the most hits in Mets history.
Strawberry has the most home runs.
So are they trying to trip us up in some fashion? Most singles. Omar Infante, a one-out single to break up Kluber's perfect game, so he got 19, one shy of Bartolo Colon's effort yesterday. 3-0 to Duda, and there's a strike, 3-1. Travis d'Arnaud waits on deck. Brewers got a run in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third against Dylan G, and they have been rolling behind Matt Garza ever since. Duda hits it out to right center field, deep. Gomez back to the track at the wall. It's out of here. Lucas Duda breaks up the shutout with his 16th home run of the year. And the Mets are on the board and the towels are out. It's now 7-1 Milwaukee. So Duda continues to be a big, bright spot. And that massive home run in Seattle a couple of nights ago, and now he follows it up with his 16th. Career high 16 home runs for Lucas Duda. A rather half-hearted car wash.
Yeah, it's hard to celebrate the car wash with this kind of deficit, but another long home run by Duda.
There's d'Arnaud, who's 0 for 2.
I mean, when this left the bat, 3-1 fastball from Garza, it looked like Gomez might have a beat on it, and then it ends up in the stairwell up there.
Watching that ball come off the bat, he got a lot of backspin on that ball.
Yeah, good call.
That backspin tends to make the ball travel that much farther.
Or at least stay in the air longer.
So the Mets have just their second hit. It's an interesting question, right? You're down 7-0. You've got this scripted dugout celebration every time you do something good offensively.
Yeah.
At what point do you call off the jam?
I would have tabled it today.
Broken bat. Segura plays the one hopper and throws out d'Arnaud for the second out.
Usually you try to save those things for, big moments, big offensive moments, but hard for me to judge anything that the Mets would do on their bench. Our 86 crew than the 80s. Just some of the most ridiculous things happened on that bench, so never criticized.
And that year, you weren't behind 7-0 very often.
Yeah,
so
right.
It wasn't, that question didn't come up with regularity.
There's a reason why that team was hated by all the teams in baseball.
Here's Chris Young. He's flied to left, he's flied to right, and now he flies to center. Side retired. Mets get on the board on Lucas Duda's 16th home run of the year. Lucas keeps on cranking him out. He's the team leader in home runs. He's got a new career high. That's down 7-1 at the stretch. Universal Orlando Resort, where you'll enjoy the action and fun of 2 amazing theme parks, plus stay on site at the new Universal Cabana Bay Beach Resort. Just go to sny.tv/Toyota and enter the Toyota Fan Flyaway Sweepstakes for your chance to win. Second inning of work for Daisuke Matsuzaka. Hit hard by Carlos Gomez, and he has his second hit of the night. Well, the Brewers have hit more than their share of bullets in this game. Second hit off Daisuke.
Well, there's 3 more games in the series. I hope in the scouting report they have that this young man, Carlos Gomez, is swinging first pitch. Very aggressive.
Jonathan Lucroy, who Ronnie described as a very good 2-strike hitter early in the game. So he hit a 2-strike home run in the first and a 2-strike single in the second. And you see what Gomez has done on the first pitch, which is a very productive pitch when put in play. League average is 328, but Gomez 90 points better than that.
I have to say that Gomez, who has found trouble in the past, should be shut down here. I would think 7-1. It's a hard call. Maybe I'll take that back. 6 runs. It seems like there's more of a lead than 6 runs.
It's right on that borderline.
It really is. Yeah.
Ryan Braun on deck. Matsuzaka's first pitch of the 6th inning was hit out of the ballpark. His first pitch of the 7th inning is hit hard. And maybe that's as much a scouting report on Daisuke as anything else. You know, a guy who likes to get ahead and then nibble, so you don't want to fall behind, and you tend to jump on the first good offering you see. Big Black gets up in the bullpen. Gomez has a stolen base tonight, his 19th of the year. And Lucroy takes just inside, 3-1. G went the first 5, allowed 6 runs and 6 hits. And Lucroy in a good spot here. Lined, caught by Murphy. Timed it perfectly on that soft liner by Lucroy for the first out.
Well, you had it right, Gary. Timed it just perfect, got to the spot, and with the leap made the play, robbing Lucroy of a hit. No easy task, you know. Murphy's had both those knees operated on.
Now Ryan Braun, who's 0 for 3 today. So the Brewers have put up 7 runs in 6 innings plus without their 3 or 4 hitters getting on base. Braun and Ramirez combined are 0 for 6. To Braun, and he hits one in the air to deep left field. Back goes Young, looking up near the wall, and it's way out of here. Up into the second deck. Ryan Braun, a 2-run homer, his 14th of the year. And the Brewers stretch their lead to 9-1.
Well, third place hitter's on the board now. Hanging breaking ball from Matsuzaka.
Now we talked about Braun's home run numbers being down. Starting to catch up. That was a long one. So 3 home runs for Milwaukee tonight. Lucroy, Davis, and now Braun. 9 runs and 9 hits for the Brewers. Who started the night second in the National League in home runs. Well, this is a team that was ice cold going into the All-Star break, and they have rediscovered their swings. Brewers let a 6.5 game lead get away. The Cardinals caught them for a couple of days, but Milwaukee 2.5 to the good coming into play today after sweeping the Reds the last 3 days. Weeks waits on deck. And Daisuke fools him with the breaking ball and strikes out Ramirez for the second out. Second strikeout in relief for Matsuzaka.
It's a better breaking ball here. That was supposed to be inside, but Ramirez fishing anyway.
So now Ricky Weeks is 1 for 3. Weeks filling in for the injured Scooter Gennett, who should be back sometime this weekend. Just a strained quad. Campbell doing some light jogging. Could be that he's ready to pinch hit. This might be a game we want to get David Wright off his feet too. Wright will let this one go for Flores. Nice play. Wilmer throws out Weeks to end the inning. But a 2-run homer off the bat of Ryan Braun extends the Milwaukee lead 9-1 after 7. Matsuzaka coming off after that last inning looked like he was walking very gingerly as he came off.
In between pitches, he was jiggling his arm back and forth like he had hurt himself. See, he's hanging that right arm down.
I don't know if it's an arm issue or a back issue or what it is, but clearly Matsuzaka a bit shaken, and he'll head down to the clubhouse. One defensive change for the Brewers as we go to the 8th inning. Elian Herrera takes over for Aramis Ramirez at third base. Wilmer Flores leads off against Matt Garza, who's given up just 2 hits over the first 7 innings. Flores has one of those 2 hits, an infield single in the 3rd, flied out in the 5th. Mets' other hit was a home run by Duda in the 7th, accounting for their only run. It'll be Flores, then Lagares, and the pitcher's spot for the Mets in the 8th. There's a call strike, 1-1. This is one of those games that just kills your run differential.
Yeah.
Flores waiting on Garza, who's still under 100 pitches, working in the 8th inning. And it's popped up. Ryan Braun coming toward the line. 1 out. Your Cadillac drive around the majors. Corey Kluber retired the first 19 against Kansas City. That game's still scoreless in the bottom of the 8th. Cole Hamels was brilliant today. 8 innings, 6 hits, 10 strikeouts. Beat Tim Hudson and the Giants 2-1. And Jared Saltalamacchia, the game-winning hit in the top of the 9th, as the Marlins beat the Braves, take 3 out of 4 in that series. Here's Juan Lagares, who's flied out and grounded out. Lagares now 3 for 23 on this road trip. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Eric Campbell is out on deck to bat for Daisuke. And it's up and away, 1-1 to Lagares. If Kirk Neuenhuis had not been sent down today, there was every chance Lagares was going to get a day off today. That's because he's been struggling so much at the plate the last few days. But Neuenhuis is back in Vegas, and Lagares remains in the lineup. The Mets don't really have any other center field options at the moment. Of course, Young played there earlier in the year, but didn't fare well. Curtis Granderson's played a few games there.
It's that pitch right there, that 2-1 fastball. He's just missing it. That's a pitch he didn't miss in the first month of the season.
Two from Garza. And Lagares down swinging on the fastball. Strikeout number 4 for Garza. 2 out in the 8th. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany for another game break, brought to you by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. All right, Eamon, now it's Eric Campbell to pinch hit with 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 8th. Dana Evelyn getting ready in the Mets bullpen to pitch the bottom of the inning. Matt Garza trying to finish 8 strong innings with Tom Gorzolani up in the bullpen, wearing his hat for its usual purpose.
Instead of catching home runs?
Yeah. Campbell takes a strike. Eric came in the game yesterday when Tejada had to leave after getting hit in the helmet and went 0 for 2. So Matt has cooled down a tad after his torrid start. 1-2.
I mean, it was a strange substitution in the sense that Tejada, their best shortstop, of course, got hit in the head, take him out of the game, of course, 100%. But Campbell came in with a perfect game going on still.
it was a little awkward.
Yeah, like thrown into the fire.
As it turned out, his only play at shortstop came well after the perfect game was gone. Two to Campbell, and he bounces one for Segura. Nice easy hop. And the side retired. 8 terrific innings for Matt Garza. We head to the bottom of the 8th, 9-1 Milwaukee. To you by Citi. Citi cards can get you in on the action and closer to the game with access to special benefits at Citi Field this season. Visit Mets.com/Citi to learn more. By Lexus, introducing a car designed with one purpose: to stand apart. The 2014 Lexus IS. It's your move. And by Cholula Hot Sauce, the hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. Available in original flavor chili lime, chili garlic, and chipotle. Ice cream time. Late inning ice cream.
Nice.
Might keep you up. That's okay. Another scoop, please. Dana Evelyn will come on to pitch for the Mets at the bottom of the 8th.
3 straight shutout innings for Evelyn. Straight shutout appearances. He played for the Brewers in 2005 and 2006.
Chris Davis leads off, has to back away from the first pitch, and we check in with Kevin.
It's actually a pretty good story that he's here and pitching well for the Mets. I mean, considering in 2012 he was up with the Orioles a little bit, but then in September they didn't call him back up. He didn't get arbitration, and he knew that spelled trouble. So his agent at that point said to him, hey, you're 29 years old. You might want to start thinking about trying to make some money for your family, and that might be to go to Korea, where they're willing to pay you well. He said that the year, at the beginning of 2013, he got 20 offers of minor league deals, nothing guaranteed major, but a minor league deal. And he played with the idea in his head, and he finally decided to take the money and go over to Korea. He said, I wasn't very good. I let up a ton of hits. He said, but it was hard. He said, for the first time, baseball really felt like a job. And I think the reason for it, as Murphy will throw out Davis, is because my family was over there for most of the year. They came over from January to August, and they just weren't enjoying it. So that was hard for me to see, and I think it affected my performance. But, in hindsight, I regretted it when I got back, because here, at least before I left, I had all these teams at least interested in me. When I got back, instead of the teams calling us, we called every team. I mean, we called around Major League Baseball just begging for a minor league invite. The Mets were the one team to offer that to him, and now he's here back on the big stage. He said thrilled to be having this opportunity again. Guys?
Well, this is the Dana Evelyn road trip, because Dana is from the state of Washington.
That's right.
Born in Olympia. and got to be back in his home state to pitch this week, and now back pitching against the team that drafted him, brought him up through the minor leagues, and with whom he made his major league debut, the Brewers. Matt Reynolds takes inside 2-0. And Matt Garza done for the night after 8 terrific innings. Nice bounce back for him.
Couldn't have had 2 different starts than his one against Washington when he only lasted a third, and 8 excellent innings tonight.
Reynolds 0 for 2 and a walk. Takes it up and away, 3-0. Daisuke Matsuzaka, 2 innings, 3 runs, 3 hits, couple of strikeouts, couple of home runs. Looks like Tom Gorzolani, after catching a home run in his hat earlier, will try and get the final 3 outs for the Brewers tonight. That's a strike.
Kevin's report on Dana Evelyn's important to talk about, because I love those stories. You know, guys who just are able to slug it out and go wherever it takes to keep pitching and keep their dreams alive. I played with a pitcher, Terry Leach, who was signed literally in a parking lot of throwing in the sneakers with the Atlanta Braves, and came over to the Mets and was always the 11th pitcher on a 10-pitcher squad. And he finally got his chance and made the most of it with the Mets, and I believe '87 was his big year.
The year every starter got hurt. Ripped down the line. That's a fair ball going into the corner for Reynolds. Another extra base hit for the Brewers, and Reynolds has himself a 1-out double.
Just fair inside that line. Pretty interesting. Reynolds, they're going to check him on second base, because after he got that hit, he almost fell in the batter's box.
Yeah, he went kind of hobbling into second base.
You know what happens to a lot of hitters nowadays? I've seen it happen 2 or 3 times. They roll over on that front ankle when the ball's inside, and sometimes they sprain their own ankle.
Reynolds is a pretty tough guy.
Yeah.
You're going to have to drag him off the field.
Watch this front ankle, Gary. How he rolls over with the pitch inside.
Yep. You could break your ankle that way. So the Brewers have their 10th hit. And Gene Segura, who had a 2-run triple back in the second, will step in. By the way, speaking of pitchers who've had to slog through careers to get opportunities, we have not, and we've been remiss in not mentioning over the last couple of days, Scott Rice. Scott is going to undergo surgery on his elbow to end his season. He's going to have some bone spurs removed, and Scott did such incredible work for this team last year after 14 minor league seasons. Struggled a bit this year, was sent to the minors, and maybe the bone spur explains some of that. Yeah. But you hope for a speedy recovery for a guy who had to work so hard just to get his opportunity.
Always have a nice thoughts of Scott, because remember last season he pitched every day, and we found out later that he pitched through a sports hernia. Mm-hmm. So tough as nails.
2-1 to Segura. Lyle Overbay is out on deck to pinch hit with Lyle. Brewers have 10 hits tonight. 7 of the 10 have been for extra bases. 3 doubles, 3 homers, and Segura's triple.
Well, we came in telling you folks that this team is aggressive. They've got a deep lineup with lots of power, and they've shown it tonight.
Okay, so you kind of expect the Brewers to put on an offensive performance like this. Maybe you didn't expect this. The San Diego Padres just scored 9 runs in the 6th inning.
How did that happen?
It was in Chicago.
Hopefully Frenchie got a piece of that.
The Padres scored 9 runs in an inning. That's got him warmed up, I guess. 3-2 coming, and Segura hits one past the mound, off the back of the mound to Murphy, and he throws out Segura for the second out as Reynolds goes to third. During all Met games, you can get interactive with SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Here's Overbay to pinch hit for Garza, who went 8 innings and allowed 1 run and 2 hits. And Overbay takes a strike. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question momentarily. Here it is. We asked who has the most singles in Mets history. Ed Kranepool? There you go. But Dave's going to catch him in that category in a couple days or weeks. I regret to say that Frenchie is not in the lineup for the Padres tonight, so he did not have a piece of that 9-run inning. Rene Rivera hit a 3-run home.
Both Lyle Overbay and Mark Reynolds last year were on that Yankee team.
I'm looking at who took the brunt of that inning.
Yes.
Brian Schlitter for the Cubs did not retire a batter. 6 earned runs.
And he's had a pretty good year for them.
That's painful, though.
Yeah.
1-2 coming. Got him. Evelyn strikes out Overbay, and that puts an end to the 8th inning. Tom Gorzolani will try and finish it off for the Brewers. 9-1 as we go to the 9th. As we go to the 9th, first we'll check the forward box score. Not much going on for the Mets. Lucas Duda hit his career-high 16th home run. Wilmer Flores had an infield hit, and that's all the Mets got against Matt Garza in 8 innings.
So Lionel Overbay, who pinch hit, stays in the game at first base for the Brewers. Mark Reynolds moves from first base to third base. Logan Schaefer comes in to play center field, and Elian Herrera moves from third base to right field. Got all that? Now the new pitcher will be Tom Gorzolani.
Gorzolani, who made some spot starts last year for the Brewers, then was shut down, had shoulder surgery this winter, and wasn't reinstated back till June of this year.
So the Brewers have 3 lefties in their bullpen, as Curtis Granderson leads off in the 9th. And 2 of the 3 are guys who began their careers as starting pitchers with the Pirates, Gorzolani and Zach Duke.
That's right.
Granderson 0 for 3 tonight in his return to the lineup after sitting out a couple of games ill, and he's now 0 for his last 12.
That's going to kind of be their Generation K, right? With Paul Maholm, Tom Gorzolani, Zach Duke, Ian Snell. They were supposed to, be the young pitchers that were going to get them to the kind of promised land, but it didn't work out.
Now they're on the next generation with Garrett Cole leading the way. Popped up in foul ground. That'll go out of play. 1-2 to Granderson. Our next SNY telecast will be the final game of the series Sunday afternoon. That'll be Jacob deGrom's next start. 1:30 the coverage Sunday on SNY. Next 2 days will be on Pix 11, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, 7 o'clock on Saturday night. There's deGrom, who has been so good that at this point there are only 2 players probably in the conversation for National League Rookie of the Year, deGrom and Billy Hamilton. Just popped away, and it's a foul ball. 1-2.
It's interesting. It's almost like, I know it's been building up, but after this last start when he got, you know what, he's in the race now.
Right? I mean, the American League has much more prominent candidates led by Jose Abreu. But, the National League has not been blessed with a lot of rookie talent, and deGrom has definitely snuck up on people. Murphy on deck, right to follow. Granderson pops one up. This one may stay in play for Reynolds. 1 away. I mean, the first 3 weeks he was in the big leagues, it looked like Gregory Polanco might be able to take that Rookie of the Year thing and run away with it. And then he kind of flattened out for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch because Hamilton and Polanco, starting everyday players, unless there's an injury, are going to be in the lineup every day. Jacob deGrom, we've already heard whispers that they're going to have to find maybe a spot to skip a start or limit his innings.
Well, the other thing about Polanco and Hamilton, at least for the moment, is they're probably going to be playing in a pennant race. Not sure if deGrom will be. Although the way the Reds have played lately, Hamilton may not be before long either. Murphy 0 for 3 tonight. David Wright on deck. And it's slapped right at the second baseman. Weeks picks off the soft liner for the second out. And the Mets are down to their final out of the night. David tonight is 0 for 3. Grounded out twice and struck out. It's been a lost night for the Mets right from the beginning. Matt Garza allowed just about nothing. And the Brewers scored early and often against Dylan G. Guys came out. Suzaka left the game. Perhaps either they're shaken up or injured. We'll have to find more about that after the game. The only bright spot for the Mets tonight, a home run off the bat of Lucas Duda. But the Mets were far behind by that point. Ball and a strike to right.
So the infield's hit by Flores and the homer by Duda. That's about it. Boy.
That is your Mets offense tonight. Zach Wheeler goes tomorrow night, trying to get the Mets even. that just missed. 2-1.
For the first time, I forgot my scorecards on this trip. You've been providing me with scorecards, your scorecards to do the score. With the Mets offense tonight, I could just kept it by memory.
You know, that's been done before.
Three and one to David Wright. And that's ball 4. So the Mets are prolonged. And the second walk they've drawn tonight, only their 4th base run. So now Duda, who's had a walk and a long home run tonight. His 16th of the year, a new career high for Lucas, who leads the team in home runs. The Mets have hit only 1 home run since the All-Star break before Lucas's shot, and that was Duda as well in Seattle. And the breaking ball outside. Coming into today, the Mets had the fewest home runs and the fewest extra base hits of any team since the All-Star break. And with the 1 run today, they've scored 15 runs in 7 games. Duda lifts this one to left, and that should do it. Chris Davis waiting. And the Brewers with a dominating performance in the opening game of this series. 3 home runs, strong pitching by Matt Garza. The Mets managed just 2 hits and dropped their opener in Milwaukee 9-1.
Well, nothing went right for the Mets today. Garza was outstanding for the Brewers. Luke Hoy with an early home run off G, who gave up 6 runs in 5 innings. Too much offense to the Brewers tonight for the Mets.
Well, the Brewers had 10 hits, and 7 of the 10 went for extra bases, including those 3 home runs. A rollicking performance for Ron Renicke's team as they win their 4th in a row. And the Mets fall to 3-4 on this road trip. Summary brought to you by New York Community Bank. Matt Garza, who went just a 3rd of an inning in his last start. Great performance tonight. Dylan G, 2nd straight difficult outing as the Brewers win it easily 9-1. More coming up from Milwaukee in just a moment.